Yeah, so the original company I worked with, like I said, everything was great. And then it was about 4 months before, before I had the baby, I quit receiving my payments. And I quit receiving communication from this woman as well. And so come to find out, she stole all the money. She took everyone's money that she was working with.
Hi, I'm Jen, and this is my wife, Rachel. Together we live in North Carolina with our kids, Bennett and Riding, and our dogs, Coco and Lucky. Join us as we share our life and our adventures. Please subscribe and enjoy the video.
Germ out of there. Okay. Oh my God, you're awful. Lay down.
I think we're gonna get it this time.
I hope so.
This is like the 5th or 6th attempt, and that dog has ruined it every single time.
And he's asleep.
Okay, good.
So,
And the conversation's about surrogacy.
it is.
Because
I'm a 2-time surrogate. And actually today is the youngest surrogate's birthday. He is 5 today. So it was 5 years ago today that I had him.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this video is about,
My experience and the process.
well, the first question is why you decided to do it. How did it even cross your mind?
Yeah, so initially I was going to donate my eggs. And so I went to the clinic you have to go, you fill out paperwork, you got to go to an orientation. And everyone who was interested in donating their eggs were all in the same room. So I think there are probably 17 or 18 of us. Administrators of the clinic came in and were speaking to us about the process of it. And at this time they had said that, there's 18 of you, but I think there was like 32 or 35 women waiting for us. And that broke my heart. Like, I left there crying after learning that so many women have problems getting pregnant. But at 32, I was too old. I left there and was later notified that, I did not make the cut to donate my eggs. And then, like I said, when I left there, I was heartbroken for all the women who were having issues and troubles trying to get pregnant. And so after I got home, I researched what else I could do to help, and I found surrogacy.
What were your thoughts initially when you stumbled across it? Do you remember?
I don't really remember. I think I didn't know anything about it, and so I had to educate myself about the type of surrogate you could be.
So what are the types?
So the 2 types of surrogate you can be is a traditional surrogate, which you use your own eggs and either a donor sperm or the father's sperm. And then there's a gestational surrogate where you're actually just the house. And that's what I was. I was gestational surrogate for both of the babies.
Did you consider being a traditional surrogate?
So I did not initially think about being a traditional surrogate. I wanted to be a gestational because I didn't know how I would feel about it being my DNA and carrying it and then giving it, to their parents. And so I decided I would be a gestational.
So how did you get started? Where do you even begin? How do you find a company to work with?
Well, then Google, I researched, I don't know if it was Google, just researched surrogate companies in North Carolina because I wanted them to be local so they could be more hands-on and be more personable. These days, they're everywhere. You can put in a surrogate company and so many pop up.
What do you think someone should look for when choosing
In a company?
one? Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is getting a hold of them, learning their process. I'm sure there are reviews about the clinic online, reading reviews. It's very important to get that background.
Yeah, we'll get into some interesting things that happened with yours a little bit later.
Yeah, it's very important to get that background of the company to make sure that they are legitimate.
What's the beginning process look like? Once you find a company and you contact them, what's it look like from there?
Right, so you fill out an application. It has your health history, your family's health history, your pregnancy history. You send it in, and either you're contacted or not. To be a surrogate, you've had to had your own babies. They want you to have had pregnancies in the past, so they know what if you're able to get pregnant, they know how you carry, what your pregnancies are like, your deliveries are like. It's very important for these to be healthy babies and healthy pregnancies.
And that's you have to have a child of your own to be a surrogate. Period.
Right, and they really would like for you to be done having children. In addition to all of my health history and medical history sent over to the clinic, I also had to go meet with a psychologist. Not only did I have to meet with a therapist, my ex had to meet with her as well, individually. Then we met with as a couple. Then we all met with the intended parents as well. So it was all four of us in a room and the counselor as well.
So that's a good lead into my next thing, and that's how do you get paired with a family?
The surrogates fill out applications, but also the intended parents fill out applications as well. They have their wants, they have their needs, or the company will pair you based on what both parties want.
So you got matched up with them, and you guys went through everything, and they paired you guys together.
Well, they weren't the first family that I met. I actually had one interview with a family from New York, but it was going to be more of like a business transaction. They really didn't want a relationship with me, which is fine, but I think I can't remember, I think they decided not to go with me, which was fantastic. Because not too long after that, I got paired up with my intended family that I actually had both of my surrogate babies with. You know, and that process is basically the company saying, hey, I found a family, they like you. But actually go back, the company wanted me to do a video about myself. Just about myself, and they really liked my video and liked me. And so that's whenever they reached out and said that they wanted to be paired with me or meet me. I talked to the mom, really enjoyed talking to the mom. We had great conversations, and the mediator, which was the owner of the company, she asked us different questions, kind of like what we expected, what we thought things were going to be, or I don't remember any of the questions except for this one. And the question was, what do you see the relationship as after the children are born? And both of us said, well, I don't really know, not sure. That always sticks in my mind because
you do have a relationship with them to this day.
A relationship with them. I'm one of the godmoms of the oldest one, and we have a great relationship. I talk to them quite often. It was just funny because that question I always remember that question.
So you were a gestational carrier, and you got paired with this family. Now what happens?
Oh, it wasn't easy. You know, when these families and these women come to you needing a surrogate, obviously there's some fertility issues, right? Man, I might get emotional.
I've seen that a couple of times.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But I remember when all four of us were meeting with the therapist, the mom, they asked us what our biggest fear was, and she said to not be the biological mom.
That makes me emotional.
Yeah, and it's sad. Yeah, it's sad. Pause that. That was her biggest fear, to not be the biological mom. And so the beginning process, and so I had to go to the clinic, to a fertility clinic, up where they lived, because they wanted to use her eggs, and the dad's sperm. And so she donated, they retrieved her eggs to make an embryo, to fertilize from the sperm, And both times they just didn't work. So then she went to a specialist up in New Jersey. The mom went up, same process for them to retrieve her eggs. I was on hormones. The cycle got canceled again. This was the time where that specialist told the mom that it'll never work. Her eggs will never be viable enough to make an embryo. So she had to digest that. So that took a little while. They still wanted children. So now they had to find an egg donor as well, which is just, I think, harder to find an egg donor than it is a surrogate.
So what does it look like being a gestational
carrier.
Everything has to be synced up, even if it's an egg donor or the biological mom. Because a gestational surrogate is an embryo is transferred to your uterus, and in that time of syncing up cycles and retrievals, the surrogate, I don't know, I can't remember the whole hormone process, but it's a lot.
It's involved.
Very involved. A lot of shots. It's all shots. So you start taking hormones before.
That was my hardest part with that. I don't like synthetic hormones and messing with your hormone profiles. I worry about the long-term health repercussions of that. But it's part of it, and so if that's a big deal to you, that's going to be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously you had the transfer and it was successful.
Yeah, so with the first one and the second one, for both of them, I traveled to California, where the clinic was that had the embryos, and you do an embryo transfer. You watch the embryo on the ultrasound, because they're doing ultrasound on your belly or your uterus, and you can watch it go in. It's just like it's amazing. It's the best feeling just to watch that little thing just go into your uterus. And most of the time with surrogacy, you are going to have more than one embryo transferred into you. They did not want that because there's different levels of embryos. They grade them by a letter and a number, and we had the best ones, the letter and number.
And they didn't want to risk multiples.
They didn't want to risk twins for my health, not because of them, but for my own health. And so they just transferred one. Actually, the clinic did not like that, but they held their ground, and so they just wanted one transferred. And both times, one transfer, one embryo, pregnant. It's amazing.
So now to wipe the smile off your face, partway through the pregnancy with the first one, let's talk about what happened with the company, the original company.
Yeah, so the original company I worked with, like I said, everything was great. And then it was about 4 months before I had the baby, I quit receiving my payments to be a surrogate. And I quit receiving communication from this woman as well. And so come to find out, she stole all the money. She took everyone's money that she was working with. And I think there were maybe 7 to 10 families. The intended parents, they pay up front. So every fee that could be possible for a surrogate, they pay up front. And it goes into an escrow account. Well, she took all that money. Every family's, which was heartbreaking. I was very fortunate to where, even though this family had already paid in all of their money to this company, they could pay me additionally on top of what they've already paid the company, what they lost. So I was able to finish my pregnancy and still be paid what I was promised. There were quite a few surrogates who were not. There were surrogates that were at the clinic waiting for a transfer, then were just immediately canceled. And it's a lot of times it's the family's last straw, so they have no money left for any fertility treatments. And so I don't know if she's still in prison, but she was in prison. Very sad, a lot of angry people at her. And I know that she didn't get long enough in her sentence.
How do you get long enough for that?
Yeah.
That's so terrible. What a horrible, horrible person.
Yeah. But whenever the second time rolled around for them to be ready to have another baby, we just worked together. We used the same attorneys to draw up the contracts. We used the same clinics, but pretty much the base of it is your contract between you and the family.
Yeah, so you don't really need a company. It's just but you were already paired with them. Where a company comes in handy is if you have no idea
how it
find
works.
a family or anything, they hold your hand.
Right, yeah. But the most interesting thing, just so people know this too, even though it is not your child biologically, you're still carrying it, and so you have to go to family court, and you have to have court documents drawn up stating that that child is theirs, and you will not have any rights to this child.
And actually,
And-
with the second one, we were together and we were married at
Yeah.
this point. I even had to sign documents saying that I did not want this child, it was not mine, that it was theirs. When you're pregnant, how much input do the parents have when it comes to your life, your style, like eating and like all that stuff?
It's all in the contract. So if they want
A vegan?
a vegan, you better be honest and be a vegan. And there's some hard things in that contract as well about if there was some major disease, would they have terminated? I don't know. But it was up to them, not me. So I would have had to go with their wishes if there was something wrong.
That's
on
heavy.
what
That's
they
heavy
want.
if you found a health issue and they wanted to terminate, that would...
It would have been very hard, and thank God I didn't have to.
Okay, so I guess this is a good time to talk about your relationship with the family and what it started off as and how it's evolved
Okay.
over time into what it is today even.
We went through a long process with her, and her trying to be the biological mom, and then her trying to find an egg donor, and then the pregnancies. And so in the beginning, I didn't know her, or I didn't know them. They didn't know me. So we talked on the phone. We emailed a lot. We met and had coffee. But once I was pregnant, I would text them a lot with pictures, or I felt the baby kick. I let them know what I was feeling, how I was doing, what I was experiencing, all the time. We text all the time. Yeah, and then they would come to my appointments. One of the most rewarding experiences with this is having them experience the baby's heartbeat for the very first time, because that's just nothing like it. Just to see that on their face.
So let's talk about when you have the baby. What's it look like in the hospital? Were they there in the delivery room with you? Do you get to see the baby at all?
You have to communicate with your doctor, and I can't remember. I think I spoke to some nurses at the hospital, because for me, I wanted them to experience everything. Pregnancy, what I was experiencing during pregnancy, and I wanted them to experience the delivery as well, because it's their child. They should be there. And boy, were they there, holding legs, helping me push, like cutting cords, everything, which is just fantastic. And like even the mom's mom and stepdad, like as soon as the first baby was born, like they were in there. I'm being like cleaned up, sewn up, and they're like right over here. It's like, they're like, is that okay? Perfectly fine. But you really have to communicate with the hospital. When a baby is born, doctor takes them, cleans them up, cord is cut, and then hands it to the parents, right? Well, the only request I had was when the baby was born that I handed the baby to the parents and not the doctors, because I just did all the work. It was more personable if I did it rather than the doctor. And so normal delivery, vaginal delivery, it went great. It was long, I was tired. And then baby was born, and they knew my wish, and so everything was cleaned up, and the baby was put on my chest. And after I said what I wanted to say to her, I gave her to her mom. Yeah.
That could make me emotional.
Yeah. Oh, I am. Yeah. Then I gave the baby to her mom, and everyone always asks, "How can you just give the baby away?" It's not mine. It's not mine. You go into this journey knowing that you're going to help create this family, complete a family. And so it's not hard at all. Now the second pregnancy and delivery, second pregnancy was fine, went great. But my water broke 7 weeks early, and that's very scary. Stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks, and then they induced me. And I had to have a C-section. So I wasn't able to hand the baby to the parents like I wish, but my wife was able to.
I was actually able to hand the baby to the parents.
And me in the room with me while I was having my C-section.
Yeah, and so that was her wish. Since she wasn't going to be able to give them the baby, she wanted me to give them their baby. Handing that mom, her son, was like, I know, I could get emotional too.
Yeah.
I can't even describe to you how amazing that felt.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Okay, I'm gonna exit now.
Okay.
So that can happen. You hope it's like any birth. You hope for a vaginal,
Right.
vaginal healthy delivery, but it doesn't always happen.
Nope.
Since this kind of plays into that, let's talk about compensation.
So it depends on your experience as a surrogate. First-time surrogates in North Carolina make probably between 19 to 20,000 for their base pay. Now, you have your base pay, then you have other incentives throughout the pregnancy. Maternity clothes. If the parents want you to do an amnio or other very specific involved testing, you get compensated for that.
If you have multiples,
If you have multiples, you get compensated for that. Every time, if you have to travel, you're compensated. And then if you pump, it's extra.
So with you, with the second one, since your water broke early, and Rachel was in the hospital for 2 weeks. She missed work for 2 weeks. She was compensated for having to miss work for 2 weeks. She had a C-section. She was compensated extra for having to have a C-section.
Yeah.
This is all stuff that's worked out in your contract.
Yeah. If you're wanting to go on your own and drop a contract between you and a family and use an attorney, there are a lot of companies that will post their compensations on their websites, and so you can get your information from there.
And so pumping.
Pumping. I breastfed my own child, so I wanted to do that for my surrogate babies as well, because the beginning milk and whatnot is very important for the babies, and so I wanted to do that. And I think in the very beginning, with the first baby, I think I said 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. But I ended up pumping for a year, and I pumped for a year with the second one as well. But pumping looks like
Breastfeeding
a baby. Wake up middle of the night, doing it at work, doing it on an airplane, do it on a park bench when you're out of town, do it whenever a baby would be hungry, an infant, you're going to pump. And so what happens is I would pump, I would freeze it, and so I would fill up coolers with this and the milk, and I would use FedEx. The family pays for the shipping. Even for all the pumping supplies, the family pays for as well. And I would overnight it.
Now let's talk about your relationship with the surrogate children.
Yeah, they're 7 and 5, and they know who I am. They know exactly what I did. They know where they came from. It used to be every month maybe, but it's every year that the mom will tell them their birth stories and about me and how they came, and then I can see them anytime I want.
We typically see them once or twice a year.
Yeah, once, twice a year. And we play and hang out, and they tell me they love me and they hug me. Thanksgiving, I get a text from the mom, tell me how thankful they are of me and us and our family and what we've done or what I've done.
They are very grateful.
Oh, so grateful.
And
yeah.
It's not awkward or weird at all.
No.
It's it's cool, and I'm happy that we have a relationship with them.
So happy.
I think it would be weirder to not.
Yeah, I agree. They're a great family, and I'm super thankful and lucky to have them.
Super fortunate to have been paired up with them. They are wonderful. What do your kids think about all this?
When I got pregnant, riding she was 3 or 4.
Maybe turned 5 sometime
Yeah.
during it. Yeah.
Then our Bennett was 6 or 7 sometime. And so they understood, because you can make it as complicated as you want or as simple as you want. The easiest thing to say is this mom, her belly is broken, and I'm going to help them have a baby since her belly is broken and mine's not. And that's all I ever said to the kids. And they totally understood it and never asked questions. And so I had the first baby.
Never thought it was their sibling.
No.
Never anything.
Nothing.
Like, nothing weird.
No. And came to see the first one in the hospital and held her, and it was just super cute. The second one, they couldn't do that because he was in the NICU because they had him early. He was super healthy though. And even though he was 6 weeks early. But after I had the first one, I got an email from our daughter's kindergarten teacher saying how she made an announcement in front of the class and how I am that mom's angel. And like, I've never used those words with her, but how I was that mom's angel for having helping them have a baby and whatnot. And the teacher was like, oh my God, I started crying.
What surprised you about doing it?
If I have to give an answer, basically how easy it was to carry a baby for 9 months and give it to their parents. Like, it was so easy. Like, and even to this day, like, I don't ever have any feelings of sadness or...
Did you worry that you might?
No, but it's talked about, especially when you have to see a counselor or a therapist in the very beginning, and that's talked about a lot.
What was the hardest part?
Having early. I was so scared. Yeah. Because I wanted him to be healthy.
It's funny, throughout that whole thing, I was so scared about your health and
Yeah.
your well-being, and every time I would bring up concerns, it was like you didn't hear me and you would just bring up him and your concern for him. Like,
Right.
you didn't care about yourself, you only cared about the baby. And not that I didn't care about him, but like, I wanted my wife to be okay too.
Right.
Even the parents, they were never selfish during that.
Never.
It was, I feel like they were more concerned about you too.
Yeah. I had one job to do and bring them a healthy baby, and I was afraid I wasn't. Yeah. But he was healthy, even at 6 weeks early.
That was really scary.
Mm-hmm. Get myself together.
Would you do it again?
Hell yeah. I wanted to. Was going to do it again, but with having an early pregnancy, I don't think they would have accepted me.
And having had a C-section, the chances of you having to have another one again.
And it was really rough recovery for me. But that's, I mean, that is the easiest answer. That, hell yeah, I would.
So then would you recommend doing it?
I do. You got to be in the right space, the right mind, have the right family, have your own supportive family, have the right family that you're paired with, the right company and the right doctors. But yeah, I recommend it. It's so crazy. That's how many women have problems having a baby. And I mean, I know we haven't talked about this, but I got pregnant first time with both surrogates, and I got pregnant with my own child the very first time with artificial insemination as well. I mean, like, that was no hormones. I could never imagine having fertility problems. Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. Mm-hmm. And if it warrants a follow-up video to go further into any details on this, we would love to do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Be sure to hit that like button.
Yeah, and everybody give Rachel some love. because it takes a very, very special person to do something so selfless. And you're very, very humble about it. But I think that you deserve a lot more credit than even you give yourself. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, this dog. So give her some love, because she deserves it.
Thanks, babe. Mm-hmm. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.